This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. And Knight, thank you for the super chat. I know you got my back, my brother. But you listen, you follow the show, you pay attention to what we have been talking about. Here's the man. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Sure.
Should I feel good about my Panthers tonight?
Can you ask me in about, I don't know, 6 hours, 7 hours?
After the fact? Yeah, way to go.
How's that for Look, I mean, they raised their level of play and maxed out the ability on their roster big time in the first 3 series. They did to a certain degree in game 1, certainly didn't in game 2. They got to get back to that level of play or they're going to get handled again because Vegas, let's not kid ourselves, is a better team.
Yeah.
So they got to play. I don't want to say a perfect game, but they got to play close to it, and they weren't anywhere near that in game 2. So I'm hoping that being back home, they haven't played since Monday night. We'll get a good performance out of the Panthers, and then let's see where that takes us.
Sean and I were talking about this before we got on the air. Has the physical, hey, let's get physical, kind of backfired on them because it seems like they punch, but Vegas has had a better counter punch.
No, where it's hurt them is they're getting the penalties, and Vegas isn't as much. And some of them, I mean, I don't want to be that guy. They didn't lose game 2.
I know, like Montour, that was just stupid. Yes, I know what you're saying.
That was completely stupid. There was another one early on. Oh, the Lomberg's cross-checking in the face of Marshall. So that was, why are you doing that? That's an automatic call. There have been others like the Tkachuk hit on Jack Eichel in open ice the last game.
That was a good hit.
It's a completely 100% clean hit. There was nothing wrong with it. And Eichel literally did a toe stick. I don't remember the phrasing of it, but it's basically the front of his skate jammed into the ice and he fell forward into Tkachuk. That's why it looked so horribly bad. Tkachuk's shoulder was completely tucked in the entire time, never lifted the elbow, wasn't going for the head. It's just a guy fell into him. And then what happens is Vegas goes after Tkachuk, which is understandable because it's a bad looking hit. And then Tkachuk winds up with a 10-minute misconduct out of the whole thing.
Right.
Where you lose your best player for 10 minutes off of a completely clean hit.
Did Eichel pull a Cam Cameron? He failed forward fast?
Okay. Yes, he did. That's good. Very good. Summer of 2007.
Just want to throw that out there, mix it up since we are going to talk a little football too. What's it called? The Gudis back. That is huge news.
With a capital U. Yes.
Huge. It's huge. Yeah, you need, I mean, we were just talking about enforcers and playing physical and all that. Without that guy and my God, on defense, you can say whatever you want about, you think he's a goon or something like that if you want to throw that out there. But defensively, I think he's a really smart player, bro.
He's very, very, very solid, and I don't think he gets enough credit for as sound as he is defensively. And let's just say teeters the line between aggressive and over the top. And the Panthers don't have a lot of physicality on their back end. They have a couple of guys like Forsling's not an enforcer; he's a finesse player. Montour's a finesse player. Ekblad, despite having a lot of size, is not an overly physical guy. Gudis brings you that presence in the back end.
Yeah, he's not Ty Domi.
No, he's not Ty Domi. But they absolutely need
Worrell. Okay.
Yeah, those players might have been described as not by me, but they might have been described as goons by others.
They were very Hansen-like. Although is that term too? We're like, we get it, but younger people aren't going to know what the Hansen brothers are.
That's the problem, if you're a hockey fan, but enforcers is the proper term to use.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. All right, Bob, are you a little concerned with Bob going into tonight? It's not so much because it really wasn't all on him. It was really mostly on the defense in front of him.
Yeah.
But whether you're confident in yourself or not, you also have to have confidence in the people in front of you, and you can't have that kind of doubt. So I just kind of worry about Bob a little bit going into this game. Is he going to think that, I got to do a little bit more than I should because the guys in front of me aren't doing what they're supposed to do. What about that situation right now with the goalie and especially the people in front of him for tonight?
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about that in the sense of having confidence in the players in front of him. What he's going to tell his D is if you're going to go in front of a shot, block it or get the hell out of the way, one of the two. And the issue with Bob in game 2, and Paul Maurice alluded to that in a day after press conference or after the game, like I don't think you can look at any goal and say, well, that one's on Bob, that one's on Bob. It's just that he didn't really necessarily make that really big save that can elevate the whole team. Right. And that's what he had done in the previous series. And I
think there was one, maybe the third goal might have been that was kind of like
the one off near the post.
I think you could have done a little better on that one. The other ones, I kind of blame the people in front of him, dude. To be quite honest,
he was screening. He was screening on all of them. But again, they're at this stage when they're playing a team that's got more ability than they do. That they need to maximize everything, and that means Bob. And right now.
And by the way, Hill did what you just talked about that you didn't see from Bob. That, okay, things weren't great in front of him, and maybe he wasn't as sharpest, but there was no special save in that game or two that you were like, the kind of shit that turns things around, the kind of shit that inspires your teammates, that kind of stuff. Where Hill made a couple of stabs that night that you were like, shit, dude, you can't get anything past this guy.
Well, especially if you remember game 1, the Kirk Cousins. Wow. I got a football mind right now. The Nick Cousins tap in from the Kachuk pass where everybody's thinking it's a goal. And then at the last second, he puts his stick down. That's the kind of game-changing save. And
on this show, you can just call him Primo. So that way you don't have to worry about it.
Primo. No, and then coming into the series, I thought the Panthers had the edge in goaltending. And right now, Hill has outplayed Bobrovsky in the series so far, but it's only 2 games. We'll see where it goes.
All right, must win tonight, right? I mean, there's no turning back here. You got to come out of here with a W.
Yes, and I think I told you this at the Dolphin facility. The Panthers are now 0-6 in Stanley Cup final games. Can we get 1 win, please?
Yeah.
1 win?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. You definitely got to get a win. All right. Your thoughts on practice today? Would you like? By the way, Omar goes, "Hey, Tua threw 2 interceptions. He didn't throw any context in there." Like the Sanders one that X went over on top of him. Sanders, I was talking with OJ about that. Sanders screwed up on that one. He didn't run it hard enough, and he had to play DB there. If you're not going to get in the inside tractor, you can't let the DB go over on top on you. That was weak.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. You sure it was? I thought it was Izukama when I first looked, when they were walking, because I couldn't see. It was kind of far, and I thought it might have been Izukama, but the point remains the same. It was a slant where X played the route as the receiver.
Yeah.
And again, it happened quickly. I'm not at the point where I'm going to assign blame because again, I'd have to see the replay to see exactly how he made the cut, because it looked to me like X completely jumped the route. So I don't know if the receiver even had the chance to make the sharper cut. That to me looked like X was in the offensive huddle, knew what play was coming, and
he kind of knew it. And the kid has to know that the defense is going to know a lot of the shit you're doing anyways, because they see you every day, every week. So you've got to play it hard when you slant like that. You've got to make sure you body him, and he did not, man. And by the way, the positive of that play, X looks good, dude. X looks healthy. X has spring in his step. And let me tell you, he's also taking part in a lot of this stuff, which a lot of times he's taken off. I think the whole Jalen Ramsey thing.
How about usually never? How usually never? And when have you seen him in the off season doing team drills like this? I've never seen it. And he does look. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder to show that last year, Pro Bowl or not, was a crappy season for him, and he's not putting up with that again. But
those of us that follow him know that he was not healthy. I mean, dude, anybody that thinks he took it off or was shit or whatever, dude, he was injured last year. It's clear that he was injured last year. And when you watch him right now, that to me is the cool part, that he looks really good. And by the way, it was good to see Jalen Ramsey there too, taking part in the drills. You got your top 2 corners there. That's awesome.
Yeah, 1 or 2 players. But here's the thing though. You and I both know he wasn't right. But it still doesn't change the fact, like, for example, the Thursday night game, in that game, you could tell it was clear he wasn't right, and he got beat one-on-one by T. Higgins, and it wound up being a long touchdown. If you don't think that pisses off X and his ego, I think you're crazy, and that's the kind of stuff he wants to go back. But I'm going to go back to the play, unless I see a replay where the wide receiver, whether it was Sanders or Zizukama, was lazy in the slant. I'm not buying those if the DB cuts in front. That's like the same play, the Super Bowl winning play for the Patriots with Malcolm Butler, because there was some criticism at times about the wide receiver didn't do a good enough job of protecting the play. No, the DB crashed the play and got in front and got in the passing lane. That's not on the wide receiver. And on that pass, again.
Well, that was really all on the coach for making that damn.
Well, no, correct. But that's a different. But it's the same kind of play.
That's a whole conversation. That's all.
It's a quick slant that gets.
Fundamentally, it was a great play by Malcolm Butler. I know what you're saying.
And it was a great play by X.
It was a great play by X.
And and like I said, I didn't notice that the slant was sloppy. If you show me a replay, okay.
I did. The way I looked at it, and when I went upstairs and I go, OJ, did you notice the same thing? And Kangemi also noticed the same thing. So I asked both, did you notice the same thing that the wide receiver, kind of didn't run with authority on that one? He goes, yeah, man, he had to play DB there. If he wasn't going to reach it, which I think OJ kind of felt that the receiver, if he runs hard enough, he could have reached that ball, and he didn't. At least you've got to body the guy and knock down the ball, and he didn't.
I had my eyes on X on that play, and I just saw X make a beeline for it.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Dude, he went right around him with a quickness and snatched that ball. That was freaking excellent on him.
So where we agree on that particular one right there is I'm not jumping all over two on that one.
No, I'm not at all.
Where we disagree is I'm not ready to say it was, to me, it was way more about X kicked ass on that play, played that brilliantly more so than the wide receiver did a lousy job on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little unhappy with Braylon on that one, but then I got to give Braylon Sanders some love, because then he comes back on the slot, on the slant on the left side, and and it was a bad pass by Tua.
It was behind him.
Okay, that one was high and a little behind, and Sanders one-handed, and it was the catch of camp today.
Yeah.
The Sanders catch. So he kind of made up for it on that one. That was really nice of his.
Yep.
That was really, really good. What else stood out to you today? Because it's hard for the physical part and the linemen and all that kind of stuff. What else did you like today?
Well, there was some physicality at some point late in the practice with Raekwon and Liam Eichenberg getting in their face a little bit.
Yeah.
Raekwon's looked really good to me. I've not been necessarily a huge fan of his game, but he's looked very impressive to me in those. Well, yeah, but in the off-season practices that have been open to the media, he's been more like this than like this.
Good. It's contract year.
Well, that's a great motivator, isn't it?
Yeah. And dangerous. Very dangerous, because if you're the front office, you're going, did he turn the corner, or is he a con artist?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did he just ball for a contract, and then we're going to get back the guy we had for 3 years that was, flashing us and showing us like, bro, you got skills, you got gifts. Let's go. Let's see it all the time. And that's the dangerous part of getting the guy to break out on his contract year.
Yeah, especially a guy who has obvious physical ability but doesn't always play up to it. It's kind of like, if you remember, there's a little bit. Well, no, because Aaron Gardner I think was more consistent, but there's a little bit of Jordan Phillips there.
Yeah, that's even better. Because Darryl did take plays off, but Darryl had some significant successes too at the same time. Yeah. But Jordan Phillips here, that's because Jordan Phillips became a better player after he left here because of getting cut and all that.
He did.
So, yeah, you're right.
He'd make a couple of plays where we're like, man, this guy can be dominant when he's on, man. But there are other games where it's like, did he play? So you were asking Bryce Thompson, the cornerback that again. Well, I'm mixing my sports here. Dolphins signed out of the XFL. Had 2 picks today. I think that's 3 or maybe 4 that we've seen. There's something there. Obviously, I don't want to focus too much on him because he's a bottom of the roster type of guy.
No, but you should, because that's where they find jewels all the time. DBs.
There's not that many slots open though. That's the thing.
It don't matter, but it's depth, and you gotta keep an eye on it, because people get injured, and now you say, okay, Bryce is going to have an opportunity to make this team now because somebody got injured. you know, that kind of stuff. But when you see a DB nowadays, you have to like take a second look here and say, well, wait a minute, these people find guys under the radar all the time at that position.
No, they have a good track record there with Needham Cater the past couple of seasons. And this guy, I mean, he looks apart. In a worst case scenario, if he makes the practice squad, gives you insurance in case something happens. So no, he's another guy who kind of stood out to me. Outside of that, it was typical practice. All the offense wasn't good. There were 5 interceptions total. And this was easily the best performance by the defense in the practices that we've seen.
Braxton Berrios, you see him working off on the side. He is in full practice uniform, so shells and everything. But it seems like he's working on. But he's moving well. You know, when I'm watching him run on the other side of the field by himself, I see a guy moving really, really well. You know, so I think we're all dying to see him out there. Do you see it like maybe it's probably a little bit of some kind of a rehab? Or are they holding him out from us seeing him? I don't know.
No, he's.
They don't want you writing about him, bro. They want you to keep writing Chosen.
No, and Chosen looks fabulous, man. Holy moly, does he look good?
He caught another touchdown down the sidelines today.
He did, and you see how he separated after he caught the ball?
Yeah.
He's got some wheels on him.
Yeah, he can fly.
No, they have a few of those players. I mean, I count maybe like 7 or 8 you didn't see. Like Jalen Phillips didn't do anything this week. David Long Jr. didn't do anything. Channing Tindall didn't do anything. Needham, Brendan Jones, obviously. Teron Armstead didn't do anything. Tyreek didn't do anything. And you mentioned Barros. It's probably like some minor nick of or something, and it's mini camp practices. I think you know what you have in Braxton Berrios pretty much.
I know. Really good. It seems like they want to find out about Chosen and Braylon and some of the other guys to see what they got in them. What's the name of the kid that caught the touchdown from Tua yesterday? What, Davis or something? What's his name?
Davis?
Huh?
David Davis? Are you talking about?
There you go. Spiro Ditas. That's him. Yeah, exactly.
Spiro Ditas.
Yeah, that's him. It looks like they're trying to find out more about those guys right now to see what they have. And maybe some of those guys don't return for camp, by the way.
Well, they know what they have in Robbie Chosen. I don't think he needs to prove it to them. I think once you see him running, the dude can run, the dude gets open, the dude catches the ball. So I think, I've been very, very impressed with him. And to me, he's almost a slam dunk number 3 guy right now.
Okay. Anything else caught your eye?
Jake Bailey, absolutely beautiful the way he pooch punts. It's only 2 punts, but I mean, it's really, really, really high. It's got the beautiful spin. It lands inside the 5-yard line and it bounces the right way. I mean, and then Michael Turk tried the same thing. It was from bigger distance. It landed at the 2-yard line and then rolled forward into the end zone. And it didn't have quite the hang time. So I think I look at Jake Bailey and it's like, you see why the Dolphins signed.
Yeah. What do you see in Sanders so far?
Can't tell. We don't have the angle I can't even tell you if he made the kicks or not. I mean, the kicks are long enough. I can't even tell you. We don't have the angle, and we don't have the official at practice to tell us, to make the signal.
I want to say he missed 2 today.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Out of all those kicks, I think he made most of them, and I think there was 2 that went to the left, if I'm correct. Because I was upstairs.
Were you seated somewhere else where you had a better angle than it? Because I couldn't tell.
I don't know. I've got good vision. I mean, I had
good vision. I got good vision too, but it's like the angle. We're on the side, and
I kind of just look for the ball to go either right in front of the pole or behind it. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. And it seemed like there was actually it was one. The other kid's the one that missed the other one that I was talking about. Actually,
there is no other kid. Who are you talking about?
Who's the other kid that? Yeah,
you don't have another kicker in camp.
Oh no! So then it was 2 of them by him.
Yeah.
I thought they had another guy. Did I see another number or? Huh? There is 2 punters. Yeah, there is 2 punters.
Not kickers.
Not kickers. I thought it was a sec. You know what? I thought there was a second guy. My bad on that one. I thought it. So it's the punter. Okay. Did the punter try a kick? I wonder if that was what it was.
I don't believe so.
I saw a different number making a kick and it missed. No, maybe it was him. Maybe I got it confused. Maybe it was him that missed twice.
It was him.
Because that's what I thought it was initially, but then I'm thinking, I thought it may have been another number. I don't even have the roster in front of me now to look at it again to see if I can remember memory.
No, he looked fine, and it's just like kicking is like so fickle. I mean, you could have somebody who never misses a kick in practice, and he goes in the game and he goes 1 for 3.
He hit one from like 55 today. That was
he had one from 57 yesterday that was long enough, and it looked good.
Beautiful. Yeah. He nailed one today from 55. That was really, really nice, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I was. I mean,
it matters until you get to a game, and then he's got to do it under those situations. All you want to see in practice is the ball getting off the foot, normally, and it, by all appearances, it is.
I thought last year he turned the corner in the last couple of weeks, and when he hit that big one against the Bills, I thought that was a really good sign for him. So I'm hoping Sanders has turned the corner, bro.
He came. For all the problems he had last year, he came up with a one clutch kick, which was the one against the Jets to put him in the playoffs.
Right.
That was a money kick, and he nailed it.
Yeah. What do you got? What are you working on over at Sports Illustrated so folks can check you out? Well,
we had our normal practice coverage with the Mike McDaniel highlights from his pre-practice media session. We had my complete rundown of what we saw at practice. We have Omar's 5 observations. I would just put up something addressing the Dalvin Cook situation, which now reaches another gear because apparently the Vikings are being stupid enough to release him. Somebody's going to have to explain to me why, because I don't get it.
Nobody trades for running backs, bro. They don't trade for running backs.
No, I'm saying why get rid of him, period.
That makes no sense.
I don't get it.
I think it's because they already made Madison their guy. They put him on the Viking thing, the whole thing, and kind of put Dalvin in the background. And so you've already created like a scene where you already say you want him to be the number one and not you anymore. And I think they just don't want an uncomfortable place, no matter what. Even if they're a better team with him, the idea of him being around and watching Madison take his job when he probably thinks he still deserves the job. You know what I'm saying? So I think they had to part ways because it was too uncomfortable at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Please explain to me how that makes them a better. They were 13-4 last year. And yes, I get it. They got incredibly lucky. It was maybe the worst 13-4 team in the history of the NFL. They still were 13-4. The division is not better. It's weaker because the Packers don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. And basically now they're dumping Dalvin Cook. They're apparently taking phone calls for Daniel Hunter.
Yeah.
And they dumped a couple of other players. What the hell are they doing? That makes no sense to me.
Hunter would be the guy I would trade for when, but yeah, it's they clearly are, they're turning the page and they're resetting that roster. There's no doubt about that. And that's why winning is not really a priority for them. If it was, they would keep Cook, and they would have brought along Madison with him and kept Cook for one more season, let him finish it out, and then Madison can take over. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing, and their defense sucked last year, and you can say whatever you want, and I know you want to say a lot in his ability as a head coach, but I think you and I can both agree that Brian Flores is going to be a hell of a defensive coordinator, and that defense is going to take a big jump in 2023 by his mere presence there. And then, but they're like still dumping good players left and right. It makes no sense. Anyway, but I examined the situation.
Hey, but listen, didn't they run it by him? He loves tanking. So
you couldn't resist, could you? No, actually,
Brian Flores.
They go. No,
he goes somewhere else where they want to tank.
He doesn't like tanking. He doesn't like tanking, period. Otherwise, he'd have played Josh Rosen that entire 2019.
I know that, but that's my point. Since he loves tanking so much, he's going to love it in Minnesota now.
It's funny.
Now that they're tankers. It's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's cantankerous. So it all goes well.
That was good. Well done.
Well done. Go. That's why we do what we do here on the show. All right, so give me something else you're working on Sports Illustrated so the folks can check you out, my man.
Well, that's a lot of things right there. Omar's going to write about Tyreek Hill and his interesting comments post-practice as well. And we're going to today was the last day of the off-season program other than rookie orientation for some of the rookies. But for the veterans, they're done, but we're still going to be pumping out content. We're going to have another, Omar and I are doing another podcast tomorrow, and just keep going to alldolphins.com. There will be stuff there every day, I assure you.
Bookmark alldolphins.com. It officially makes you a Dolphins fan. And follow this man on Twitter at Poupart NFL. Allain, as always, thank you, my friend. We will catch up next week. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Allain Poupart in our EJD Construction.com Miami Dolphins report 305-433-4843. Listen, when you want it done right, because there's a lot of shady people out there that they kind of do half-ass construction, and they might even be doing it illegally. You want to do it the right way. You want to do it with professionals. You want to do it with people that are going to help you make your business, your home look better. And EJDconstruction.com, that's exactly what they do. They do shell construction in-house. That's how they keep their costs down low. Call them. This is the owner's personal cell number, 305-433-4843. Now, this is only for our listeners in Dade and Broward counties. Those are the only two counties that they work here in South Florida. And, folks, they can do anything that you want. We got one of our listeners that is building well, it's like an efficiency because they want to make it an Airbnb, in other words. So you could do that. You got extra property and you want to, create some income nowadays. South Florida is so popular nowadays. You've got so many people wanting to come down here and hang out for a couple days, a week or two. You can build your own Airbnb on your property. You can start to create some revenue there. Maybe some parts of your family are moving back in and you got to consolidate. So now you got to expand the home. One of our listeners built an extra room in their home because family was expanding. Maybe you want to modernize that kitchen. We've got a couple of listeners that have actually had theater stadium seating made in their home. So they have the big old screen and then they have the different levels of seating and those big, beautiful couches. Wish I could do something like that in my house. Hell, I wish I had a room, and then I wish I had the opportunity to be able to do that. That is such a cool thing. I envy those of you that can build a stadium seating in your home, man. That is absolutely awesome. So whatever it is, custom home construction, major home remodeling, not a handyman, okay? Call EJD Construction. They have earned a AAA rating from the Better Business Bureau, 305-433-4843, and go to their IG at ejdconstruction.com, and you can see a lot of the before and after work there at Instagram. 305-433-4843.